Hi, Julie Grasso here. Today I'm going to talk to you about some of the supplies and materials needed to get started with reed making. And the first step is learning how to tie your reed. So here are the materials and supplies you will need to get you started. First of all, a little container for water to soak your cane. I've already soaked mine, and you should soak it about 10 minutes. You will need a C-clamp, which you'll see over here in a moment. It is screwed down to the desk. You could also use some type of a hook if you would like. You just need something to tie the thread to so that you can put some pressure against it. You'll need a mandrel, and preferably you'll find one that has flat sides and is not completely round. This is used later as one of the guides to getting our reed on correctly, our cane tied correctly. Also, your staple. Your staple should fit nicely to the end of your mandrel. Your mandrel should fit to the end of the staple, I should say. It shouldn't stick up or be under that. This one fits very nicely. I'm using a Kyorugi 47mm number 5 staple brass. And my cane shape for this demonstration is a Samson +1. You'll also need beeswax. You will need a metric ruler. It's nice to have a razor blade, your thread, knife, a pencil, and it's very helpful to have a high-intensity lamp, not just bright lighting in the room, but a high-intensity lamp to use right at your workstation so that you can see very clearly when you're wrapping your reed. So go ahead and gather up those materials and we'll get started. Here you'll see the C-clamp that I mentioned before. What we need to do is tie the thread to the C-clamp. I just use 3 regular knots for this. No special knot is needed, just so it stays on when you pull against it. And then I unspool the thread about the distance of what my arm can go out. And I'm going to take my beeswax and rub up and down the thread about 3 times, just to give it a nice coating. Then I roll my thread right back up on the spool, so it's ready to go. The beeswax is helpful because it helps from the thread slipping against the reed, and it also helps the knots stay tied. So the next thing you're going to want to do is, with your mandrel and your cane, you're going to place it on the flat side of your staple. So not the skinny way, but the long way. Stick it on there. And you're going to measure from the bottom of the staple to the top of the cane. And you're looking for 72 millimeters with this staple in this shape. So I happen to hit it pretty close there. I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to mark where my staple ends. And I'm going to mark that on my cane because you do not want to wrap beyond that point. Plus, then I can set this down and pick it back up and get it in the right spot. So when I wrap up, I'm going to wrap to the bottom of my pencil mark. I also wanted to point something out about rulers. This ruler and many others do not start the measurement at the very bottom. It starts up about 1 millimeter. So make sure when you're measuring, you're starting your measurement from where the measuring actually begins, not down at the bottom. So just a little side note. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place my cane back up right to the bottom of those pencil marks. I'm going to hold it in place. I'm going to give myself a little bit of leeway on my thread, and I'm going to look where those pencil marks are, and I'm going to try to get about 2 wraps of the thread before I get to that pencil mark. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of pressure, maybe push it up to that pencil mark. And I'm making sure that it's sealed on this side as well as this side, which it is. So I give it a nice firm, not a terrible amount of pressure, but some decent pressure. I'm going to look down the end of my mandrel all the way down and see if my reed is straight. I saw this one's a little bit crooked. Okay, so now when I'm looking down from my view down this row, I can see that my reed looks straight on my staple. So with a view like this, trying to make sure that when I look down, it is straight. But the other thing I want to do is look down the flat of the mandrel and the plane that this cane is sitting on, and I want it to be sitting slightly like this. If you thought of a clock, the upper side would be 14 minutes till, 16 minutes after the hour. So that is the angle I'm trying to get. This will help with your slip. After I have that all on there and I feel like it's straight and it's at its 16 till 14, I keep saying that backwards, 14 till 16 after tilt, then I've wrapped up. At this point now, I need to start going down. So I'm going to cross over my thread, but still stay to the right of the guide thread and start wrapping down, trying to keep pressure both here and here, but not extreme pressure because you don't want to choke off your reed. And just continue wrapping, trying to lay each string next to the other. Wrap it all the way down. Sometimes I pull it up like that a little bit. Get all the way down to the bottom. Now at this point, it is only important to keep the pressure here. You can let the pressure here go because you're going to make your knot. And here's how I do my knot. I just simply cross it over, stick the reed down in there, and pull. So once again, I just flip my finger over, slip this in the top of the loops, and pull it tight. One last time, I do 3 of them. So like this, then I flip that over, stick it in, then take your razor blade, and there you have a wrapped reed.